to try to heat treat this blade. I normally would get an acetylene torch and go that route, but I went and looked, and apparently I'm out of acetylene. And then I went to town and tried to find out if I could get it filled. Apparently they're not open because today's Saturday. But I have done folder blades just with a regular torch. For a lot of years, I used to just do Damascus folder blades that way because the temperature that you're looking for a high carbon. This is the reason we're using a high carbon steel. The temperature that you're looking for is about 1500 degrees, and then you're going to oil quench it. And I have this is one of the things that I used. I've got ammo cans laying around from when I was in the Navy. So one of the best oils I know to quench in is peanut oil, because it has a really high flash rate. It doesn't burn as easy until you get it, really, really hot. Down in this stuff, it doesn't burn very easy. The other is that if you can find some just regular motor oil, but you got to find it that doesn't have a bunch of detergents and stuff like that, because otherwise it's not good to breathe. But if you've cooked a bunch of fish or anything like that, just save the oil, start pouring it in something. I used to use fish oil, stuff that was that had been cooked. We used to fry a lot of fish. I used to keep that a long time, and then your shop smelled pretty good, and it smelled like fish when you were done. But there's a couple of things that you want to keep in mind when you start this. Don't let your oil be really cold. So always get just something and drop in there, get it hot first. That's basically what you're going to go for. That's what I usually do. I've got a piece of steel here that I'm going to heat up really hot, and then we're gonna drop it in there, and that's basically all it really is to this. We're just going to get a piece, and I'm just going to heat this piece of steel up real hot and drop it in this oil, and it's just going to heat my oil up a little bit. One of the reasons you do this is because if you don't, the oil kind of boils away from your knife, and then you just don't really get a good quench. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense that you could throw something in there and it still not be touching it, but it creates such a pocket a lot of times with it moving around that you don't get a good quench. So this is all we're doing. I'm just trying to heat this piece of steel up, and we're going to throw it in there. A lot of this video I'll probably be playing in kind of double speed. Stop it when you need to hear me talking. And that's all that is just me heating the oil. But that cooled it off. So, alright. So here's my blade. And then we're going to do it. Basically the same thing. We're looking for a dull red. You're not going to be able to get a big hard cherry. You don't want to overheat this if you have an acetylene torch, but I promise you, you can get the edges and everything as hard as you want, even with one of these. I'll guarantee that I get it to skate a file. I may not be able to get the whole knife hard, and if I'm not, I may have to either go back with an actual acetylene till I can really paint the whole thing, because like I said, mine's just out. Or I'll throw it in my oven, but I just want to show you all that if this is all you got, get a try to get you a good one. And a lot of them will say, if you get the tanks, they'll say that they're hot enough to weld. I've seen a lot of those tanks, and in the certain kind of things that you got here. So just get the better of the gases. If you have an acetylene torch, that works the best. But we're going to give this a shot. Maybe it works, maybe it don't. But I'm throwing it out there that if it doesn't, I'm going to have an acetylene, because this is just a regular thing of gas. But it's what I have here today. So we're going to give this a shot. Never realized how cold torches actually is compared to a big torch. I'm starting to get some red color, but I'm nowhere near as hot or as red as the knife needs to be. I am getting the very edge about a quarter-inch back on the knife, as hot as I think it needs to be, but I'm not maintaining it, and that's not what we're after. You do this with a big torch, it is nothing to do. I would have already been in the oil and finished. See how we're finally getting this thing to turn some color? With the torch, that's what you're after, is that color right there, but we want the whole thing to be kind of that color. So I've got it kind of red. It's by far not what I was shooting for. So I will probably go to plan B since I don't have my torch. Well, I had to turn on my oven. Like I said in the other video, I just could not get it hot enough with that small torch. And normally I have an acetylene that I do that with, and I was just out of gas. But I want to try to show you what we were doing. I've got a little hot piece in here. It's just a piece of steel. This is about the color that you want. I'm just going to reheat my oil with this piece. That's all I'm really doing with it. I'll just kind of leave it in there while I'm getting ready to do it. When you're doing this with a torch, you want to be kind of close to your oil because it needs to go in there as soon as it comes out. Every time it needs to come out as soon as it comes out, it needs to go in that oil. That'll give you a good consistent heat treat. Like I said, normally I do this with a torch on a knife like this, and you make sure you got all the blade. And your handle may be just a little bit softer than your blade when you're doing that. And that's okay because your handle doesn't have to be as hard as the rest of it. A lot of people do a differential heat treat. So I'm just going to pull this out and get it straight into the oil. And you can watch, you can't see the oil down here, but it's down on the ground. But it's basically all there is to it. We're just going to pull it out. And get it in the oil, and I'm going to let it soak there for a few minutes, and then we'll get it out and clean it off, and I'll show you the end result.